Hello, everybody, and welcome back to Alien Wars. It's time for semi-final action.
I can't believe I'm even sitting here right now. But then again, I was against a plant last time.
Right.
So.
I don't think there was any chance you weren't going to be here.
All right, to my left, we have T. She has Superman from Krypton, I believe, is where he originally hails from.
Superman from Krypton.
Exactly. And to my right, your left, at home, Michael Cruz has the Xenomorphs, an invention of H.R. Giger for the film Alien.
We
or
meet again.
for Jodorowsky's Dune, depending on which documentary you want to believe.
It's a big phallic, sexual, evil, natural thing.
Yeah.
For whatever it is.
It's like a wiener coming out of a mouth.
It's like nesting dolls of wieners.
Yeah, it's like little Russian wieners.
Okay, well, just because it's the semifinals doesn't mean that it's going to work any differently than it ever has before in the history of the show. So you each have 2 minutes worth of opening arguments. You have 1 minute to rebut each other, and then you got some closing arguments to make there at the end. Everybody ready?
I guess.
So I talked to somebody earlier who knows about how coin flips work, and they said Cruz is going first.
I'm not surprised I always go first, so I prepared.
Your time starts right now. Go!
Well, okay, look. In terms of Alien MVP, there's really 2 reasons why you would win, right? It's the would you win in a fight and which one's cooler. So in a would you win in a fight situation, I think that's sort of a little bit more interesting for this debate. On paper, I think you'd say that Superman would automatically win the fight because he's so super powerful. But as I said before in the previous round, the alien is a natural predator and a super species capable of horizontal gene reproduction. And so while Superman is incredibly strong, he's only an individual, and the aliens as a species, all they would need to do in order to be really formidable opponents against Superman would be to be able to face hug a Kryptonian outside of a yellow sun solar system where they are not superpowered. They're basically almost regular human beings with advanced technology. Adapt the Kryptonian genetic code, meet Superman in a yellow sunned area, or hopefully even not in a yellow sunned area, and then absolutely decimate the motherfucker. Because they would have enhanced versions of all of the same powers, as well as all of enhanced versions of all of their own powers under the power of the yellow sun. In terms of coolness, Superman is one of the dullest superheroes ever invented ever. And the Xenomorphs are one of the coolest aliens ever invented ever. There is no case to be made.
T, are you ready?
Ready as I'm ever going to be.
Your 2 minutes start right now.
Now, you seem to have this penchant for representing the biggest dicks of all in these Cinefix wars. Like last time you had the Sentinels from X-Men, who have nothing better to do than fuck with mutants who are trying to mind their own business. This time you have the Xenomorph, and we're trying to determine who's the best here, not who's the biggest, most gaping asshole. And unlike the Xenomorphs, Superman is on our side. It is staggeringly obvious that Superman is the better alien when stacked against the Xenomorph, or any alien for that matter. The only criticism that one can really make of Superman is that he's a safe choice, which he just did. So I guess having powers and abilities so great that they become the prototype for myriad other supernatural beings has become too boring. I mean, I can admit that consistency and reliability aren't sexy, but I don't like the San Antonio Spurs, but they're a good team. Inevitably, I have to address this issue of who would win in a fight. But before I explain why the answer is obviously Superman, duh, I do want to remind everyone that determining the best alien does not rest alone on this question. There are other things to consider, but I'll get to that later. Now, not only would Superman defeat a Xenomorph in a fight, he has several ways he could do it. He could disintegrate the Xenomorph with his heat vision, or go the opposite route and stop the Xenomorph in its tracks with his freeze breath, the old freeze breath.
The old freeze breath, sure.
Or he could just chuck him into outer space like he did with those nukes that time. But we know that Superman is able to access his powers because of Earth's yellow sun, and I'm sure that you'll probably argue that that would give the Xenomorphs an edge if you just did, if you somehow were to get him away from the yellow sun. But even if Superman wasn't on his own turf, he'd probably still be pretty super, because there might be another sun nearby, like another yellow sun or even a white one, just not a red one. That's not so great for him. But anyway, even if he weren't near a sun that could enhance his powers, he'd still be cunning enough to outwit the Xenomorph, because if Sigourney Weaver can vanquish the Xenomorph and she's just a human, it doesn't really matter about the son then, does it? Some might argue that she's even more handsome than Superman, but that's another conversation. So the fact of the matter is that S on his chest is for S my D Xenomorphs.
You got an S my D reference, you got a San Antonio Spurs reference, and you even fit in a dig on Sigourney Weaver in there.
She's a very handsome woman.
Look, it was a solid use of 2 minutes. That's all I'm saying. You covered a lot of ground.
She is a very handsome woman.
Cruz, how handsome is your woman? You have 1 minute starting right now.
You don't understand who you're dealing with, do you? The Xenomorph is the perfect organism. It is structural perfection that is matched only by its hostility. Perfect organism with perfect hostility. In terms of it being a dick, let's talk about Superman being a dick. Because not only is he a f***ing dad, right? But he's basically an absentee father in Superman Returns. But on top of that, he's a murderer in Man of Steel. Superman is a fascist. He only fights for truth, justice, and the American way, as if Americans were the only humans. But he gets to determine and enforce what truth and justice and the American way are. Absolute power and simplistic morality have never ended well in history. Hating Superman is hating tyranny, the tyranny of one person above the rest of us, a superior being ruling over us like some asshole. Hating an alien is hating nature, and hating a nature makes you a dick.
Wow, you got worked up, guy.
Yeah.
You okay?
Yeah, I'm fine.
All right. Semi-final action.
Semifinals!
T, you got 1 minute to rebut that. Ready? Go.
So you're basically agreeing that Superman would be able to defeat the Xenomorph in a fight. So let's talk about ethos. Superman is a salt-of-the-earth alien who came to our planet and then devoted his entire life to protecting us from evil. Evil like Xenomorphs, by the way. And the guy doesn't even want any accolades for it. He keeps his identity private, despite the fact that he saves the world on a regular basis. Xenomorphs, on the other hand, are here to R you in the face. They'll R you right in the mouth, so that they can sire one of their disgusting chest-burster bastard children. In every universe, under every sun, that is the absolute worst alien. And I do kind of hate nature, by the way. This whole idea of the alien from Aliens being better because they're not tyrants, I guess, I think that's insane. They're assholes, and I'm not an asshole for hating nature. I'm an asshole for a lot of other reasons.
I don't think you can calling the aliens an asshole, I think, is like calling a hurricane an asshole. It's the same problem with calling them evil. They're a perfect expression of nature. A hurricane destroys things, sure, but it's not evil. It destroys things in order to create more. In terms of like Superman being indestructible, his biggest enemies are a rock. A rock that glows green for absolutely no reason, and who supposedly is really hard to find, but every single supervillain has it. So I'm sure that like it's stuck in the Xenomorph somewhere,
well,
just
course.
From the traveling around space.
Of course he's going to have vulnerabilities. I don't think that's a flaw. I think everyone should have vulnerabilities because it keeps you grounded.
Superman has a bunch of pathos. He has a bunch of daddy issues, emotional issues. In both of the last movies, he spends most of the time poutily self-loathing. So if Superman doesn't like himself, why the f should we like him, first of all? But additionally,
it's the same reason that they show celebrities at the grocery store. Stars, they're just like us.
It makes you identifiable, but it doesn't make you better. I think the fact that the alien is pure. It's a pure being. It's unclouded by conscience, remorse, or all of these delusions of morality that keep Superman occupied are what makes Superman vulnerable. And so in a fight, Superman is vulnerable. The Xenomorphs as a species are not. He may be able to take out a couple of them, but he won't take out the entire species.
I think he could. If he rounded up some other Kryptonians, they could all band together and easily wipe them all out.
Wow, there are a couple.
And he's a very charming guy. He could probably persuade even General Zod to get on his side. He'd be like, hey, look, I know you're a dick, but we got an even bigger dick in these Xenomorphs. We need to, band together.
His history of dealing with Kryptonians is not a good one. I mean, he murdered Zod. He outright murdered the motherfucker. Right? And sure, he can cry, and now he has to cry about it. Oh, let's cry about it. While he's crying, I'll face hug his ass, right?
So you're saying you're a Xenomorph? Because that is breaking news.
We're all Xenomorphs. We all have Xenomorphs in our hearts. But the other thing is, like, look at him in Superman Returns, right? All that Lex Luthor is in that movie is a capitalist, like land-wanting real estate agent, and Superman decides that his ambitions, that his desires for a better future and an economic prosperity are less than what he believes to be justice. So again, Superman is setting the rules for you. He's basically an overbearing universal federal government, crushing the individual spirit of each and every man on this planet.
I think this just comes down to a theoretical difference, an entirely different way of thinking about what is most desirable, not just in aliens, but in people. And you seem to be fine with jerks who are completely just out to keep self-replicating, and I am not. So I have to say, without a doubt, not only would Superman win in the fight, in fact, you sort of conceded to that.
Did not.
I think you did, but I also think that he has a better head on his shoulders, so to speak.
Arguments. Folks getting worked up. That's what the semifinals are about, everybody. Down in the comments below, there is a comment that says, like this comment, if Superman wins. There is another comment that says, like this comment, if the Xenomorphs win. So get down there, find the comment that you agree with the most, and click like on that comment and let us know who wins. Also, make sure to check out our other contest going on right now. It's Zaphod Beeblebrox versus Goku. That's an interesting one. Go let us know who won that one also.
Vote for Superman if you want to see Goku versus Superman in the final round.
Vote for Xenomorphs if you've already seen Goku versus Superman too many times and you need something new on the internet.
Vote for everything, all of it, all the time. Come back next time, see who wins Alien Wars. Next week, we have the finals. Ooh.
Yeah.
I don't know why I went here with that.
I like it.
It's scary. I went creepy old man.
It's very, very scary, actually.
Isn't that what you sound like most of the time?
This is my Jack Palance voice.
I feel like you should have butterscotch in your pocket right now.
Maybe I do.